Guys, I'm at work. Most of you know that I work third shift, and I'm always up under this vent, and it helps drown out me speaking. So I got some recall of the Montauk. And for the ones that don't know about the Montauk boys, Montauk. The Montauk Projects was like some of the earlier psychic programs, time travel projects, psychic projects, and a lot of kids went through hell for these military operations to take place. A lot of the CIA was also building, working in sequence with some of the Nazis back then, developing their own black op type military black budget projects. But I just got recall of a lot of us would time travel back as super soldiers and cause a lot of the problems. So we would time travel back and see ourselves in cages, and like we delivered a lot of problems for that military base. And once the Nazis figured out that we was coming back from the future into the past to stop them from a lot of their projects, they would eliminate a lot of the kids that were suspected of doing that. They would try to eliminate a lot of the kids back then, and it did slow us down from coming into the past from the future. But that was like some of the ways that we were. So for the ones that survived the Montauk bases, like for myself, I was one of the guys that were going back into the past and causing a lot of problems to stop them. And on top of that, we could do that because we had linked up with the with certain beings that did time patrol. They also was a group of beings that they believe in collecting karma, and they made sure that we would like they paved the way for us to do that, because normally you can't do that because there's other beings that watch, that they watch, we call them time patrollers, and they patrol the time travel and stuff like that. They make sure everything is balanced. But because of what was going on, we could our future selves can go back and collect the karma, which was okay. We just slowed down a lot of the Montauk stuff, gave them hell as super soldiers. And eventually a lot of the problems that they were having and that we were causing, on top of a lot of the stuff that they were doing themselves, causing themselves numerous karma, they had to shut that base down, but began operating under other bases. So a lot of those projects they went on and still go on today under the watchful eyes of the military industrial complex. But these guys are now losing power. We have a lot of galactic council members and their military force, operating. They operate in other frequencies too. We pop in, and we essentially just time travelers. So, but I'll talk more about that. I'm at work and I don't want people hearing me. Guys, I just wanted to touch bases on some of the things that I talked about earlier in the video about a lot of the Montauk stuff, time travel experiments with the psychic programs. And, sometimes it's hard to believe. Well, let's just say people have a hard time believing that these projects have been perfected over the past 50 years of this going on, and that we had help by both good and bad ETs to perfect these time travel capabilities, not only dealing with the psychic projects, but the Philadelphia experiments and using back engineered ET technology to not only be seen from radar system, but to go into a whole nother dimension. It wasn't just about cloaking. Cloaking is only half of what happened with the Philadelphia experiments. That technology in itself had the ability to jump into a whole nother frequency. It had the ability to not only go into the future, the past, and the present, but to move into a whole nother frequency where it cannot be detected. That is perfect radar visibility. This is what our United States government wanted. Now, I don't know if William Tompkins touched on it in depth as far as when he started constructing a lot of these huge vessels that our solar warden now have. He was constructing a lot of these huge crafts, these vessels for the Navy, and it became funneled under these Navy projects, the SSP projects, the secret space program projects. We have many ships out there, and we have joined. We became first. The Nazis did this. Okay, they were the first ones out there. They were the first one to beat any other country out there. But our U.S. government started creating teams from around the world, many countries that will go into these projects and join, not just join, many of these galactic brothers and sisters, whether they be good or bad. But once you reach a level of a technological, having those type of capabilities, you had to join either side. And the Nazi had already had dealings with the Dracos and some of the Orions, but then they begin to have like breakaway groups as well. And some of these groups wanted to be on their own. They didn't want to have control. They didn't want the Dracos to have control over them. They started breaking away and began not undoing, but having a different whole mindset. Um, yes, they were Germans, but they were not like they didn't take on like the Aryan type mindset. They had many other. They were strict. Let's just say what they did keep was being strict. Uh, they did take on, in some fashion. I think they started working with Commander Astar, and I'll get into that later with more in depth on Commander Astar. But let's get back to the original because I'll start getting off on a tangents of all of these other stuff that people just don't know about. But so the Montauk stuff, let's just say the Philadelphia experiments and what they wanted, they got more of what they wanted, but it came at a price. These early experiments, um, they failed. A lot of people died, of course, because um, you're dealing with physics that is unknown to the human species. This particular physics, um, if not done properly, of course, there will be casualties. There will be a lot of mistakes, and then people pay for that karma, that price. I'm talking about innocent people that wanted some good things to come about with this technology. Um, so once they turned this particular technology on, they went into a whole nother frequency, physically into another frequency other than the one that Earth currently carries. And when that happened, without having everything totally engineered in its proper context, in its proper technology, if it's not fully assembled right, and you only having part of the puzzle, then when they came back into their frequency, when they came back into Earth frequency, these guys, these Navy guys, they became infused into the ship. Some of them was stuck and in a lot of pain, so they became a part of the ship. And I've seen this happen at the Montauk, the same thing. And I talked about this where I time traveled back into the past, and I saw some of the two of the workers there became part of the landscape. And this had nothing. These are two different times, but the same type of mistakes that mankind was making in the earlier days. Two of these people became part of the landscape. One, which was Gene, he became like part of the sand that was on the beach. He was like that guy in the Spider-Man movie, but he couldn't become like humanoid. You know how that sand guy, he can pretty much turn it to like anything. It wasn't like that. He can clump up, move slowly, and then Sam became like a part of the tree, and he could uproot himself and move slow. And that was the one that kind of hit when he became like the tree. His mind had fractured. Um,
he was pretty much not, of course, not himself, but mentally he was not himself, and he ended up killing a few people that he captured. This tree. You guys go back to some of my earlier videos. You will find that in depth. But what I'm getting to is that once once we got older, because I was part of the Montauk the Montauk Project was supposed to stop at some point, and I was probably about 3 years old when they mainstream said that those experiments stopped. They did not stop. They went dark, even darker than they were already. So I was one of the Montauk boys, and I was in the these experiments, these psychic programs being developed. Um, so we learned how to, and the reason why a lot of those experiments started shutting down because as we got older, we joined a lot of the positive groups, these psychic programs. We joined a lot of the Earth Alliance, Navy Alliance, and we was time traveling back into the earlier days of Montauk and giving that base a lot of hell. And see, people are not talking about what we were doing as super soldiers. That for the boys, for us, the survivors, the ones that went into the SSP, the positive side of the SSP, yeah, we time traveled. We time traveled back, and we started, sabotaging a lot of their experiments, and they had no idea. Once they found out that we were doing that, even though we were there, our future self went back into the past, and we were seeing ourselves, and we were trying to um, help ourselves, and nobody's talking about that. But anyway, I also want to touch on the Greys. Let's talk a little bit more about the Greys now, because we know that the Greys have the ability to look us in the eyes and calm us down. We also know that the Greys have technology. Like, and I talked about this, being 8 years old, being held down with no restraints, but I couldn't move. I could see everything that was going around. I can slightly move my head. Definitely could move my eyes, but couldn't physically move the body. And what I found that the Greys do have technology, but they also have the ability, and this is what is so important. They have the ability to tap into our cerebral cortex and tap into the immune system and manipulate that. They could look us in our eyes. It's just like almost like hypnosis. And that's what it is, but it's psychosis. They go into the cerebral cortex, program us through hypnotic suggestions, through telepathic communication. It's almost like, um, like how in like certain cartoons, and I remember this like through certain cartoons, you stare a serpent in the eyes, and you become um, almost like paralyzed. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen like cartoons like that. And I think that, they were kind of like relaying a lot of the truth to us back then because some reptilians are very psychic and they can control you through, uh, let's just say, telepathic psychic um, suggestions. So they can do that when they telepathically link with you. But you too are psychic. And if you step into who you are and understand that as well, you can combat a lot of that and not fall under control. I do this all the time. I've stared at reptilians and we both meet each other psychically. I don't try to battle them, but I don't let them overpower me as well. So it's very important as a spiritual being, as you being human, you do have the capability to combat a lot of this stuff. You just have to not give into fear and understand that you being a spiritual being, you have extraordinary gifts that you need to believe in. Let's just say have faith in. It's the same thing that Christ said, have faith when he was telling the guy to walk on water. Okay, this is pretty much a simulation that we can they don't have the manifestation power here because this is not their realm, this is not their world, but they have the technology to come here and then manipulate from behind the scenes. This is our realm. This is the human realm for the human experience. They are the invaders. They invaded long ago and then started manipulating the human experience for their gains. So understand that first. This is your realm. We control. This is why they created a structure to make us believe that it was going to be beneficial for us. The government structure is not beneficial. It holds us, it binds us to their rules. And the longer you are under these rules, you become submissive. And that's what they want. It's the same thing as They Live, You Sleep, that movie. And all of these, when you put the glasses on, you can see what's going on. You can see through the illusion when you put the glasses on. You can see them, who they really are, when you put those glasses on. So I'm asking you, when you take down fear and you stand in who you are, you put those glasses on and then you see this world for what it really is. It's not our world that is the problem. They are the one that infiltrated the human experience and then they manipulated us to believe in a structure that was always going to keep us dumbed down and sedated. This is our realm. They are the parasites that we have to kick out. How do we do it? We put on the glasses so that we can see what they're doing. And then we fight against it. Anything that they want us to do, we do not do. We have to come together and take down this structure that was never meant for us. The red and blue, stop voting for it because it divides the human collective. And that's what they want. They want your minds and body and your us to be united, to be disrupted. We cannot divide anything that divides us, anything in this realm. It was never meant for us. That is not the human experience. That is not the human realm. Okay, now let's get into the chemtrails. Okay, yes. So after this government shutdown became more became back online, the chemtrails, at least in my areas, now I can see they started right back up. I was in I'm in North Carolina, and when it was shut down, I hardly ever saw chemtrails. It was beautiful. Some some reptilian states like DC control reptilian states. I'm talking about DC, California. A lot of that chemtrail was still active. Why? Because they had reserved money. They had reserved money, and these are reptilian um, places. And so this is what I wanted and needed for everybody to let me know when the government shut down, to respond and let me know where was these chemtrails still going on. Because if you had chemtrails when the government structure shut down, if you had chemtrails still going, then they are states that are controlled by reptilians. They really are. And we have to put those pieces together and pretty much really stop voting for any type of structure over you. Okay, that stuff has to come down, because those chemtrails are nanoparticles, and these nanoparticles, they cause so much. Then they're not only, once they get inside, they rep they replicate. Okay, and then on top of that, most of this stuff gets stored into the brain. Most of this stuff gets stored into the stomach. Okay, so through the Wi-Fi system can connect like an antenna. Okay, because you have these particles in you, and they can be tracked through radar systems. They literally can be tracked through radar system, and they also can be tracked through the Wi-Fi system that is connected to the secret intelligence community that operate through all of these, through the secret government. So, but there are a lot of positive groups that are combating these negative ETs, and there are negative ETs that have been here, and they tricked us into creating a structure that was not for us. None of this stuff is for us. It's for them to monitor and have more control. And every president have always lied about these technologies that would benefit us. It's all lies. It's all lies. So for us, we have to take down a structure that were never meant for us. So just know Raw loves you, and any information that I get, I will not withhold. I love you, I honor you, I respect you. Have a good night.